The greatest bane of humanity since the dawn of history is nothing but greed. The desire to gain more and more has led men to disastrous ends. Yet, as a canker that is deeply embedded in humanity, millions more will fall victim to this dangerous character. Most wars, genocides, colonization, slavery, murders, spying, poisoning, crime, fraud, and the darkest evils first started with greed. If money is the root of all evil, greed is the seed of all evil. A well-established and successful businessman with enough money to cater for his family and friends decided to engage in fraud. He gradually entrenched himself in this criminal act until it became too late. He ended up losing his family, business, and life. The result of greed is devastating, and this story shows just that. If Satan's wife is pride, then their firstborn is greed, avarice. One day, Pride and her son Greed went to the market to buy groceries to make food for Satan. On reaching the peaceful market booming with trade and innocent buyers, Greed became so angry and restive. He clung to the skirt of Pride and asked her to get him everything in the market. Pride smiled with pride and said to Greed, "Rest easy, my love. You'll soon own everything here and make me a proud mother of a great man." They returned home and told Satan about their wishes, and the master planner and chief strategist, the ruler and origin of all evil, told his wife and kid, "Worry not, my dearies. I will make you the owner of all markets by tomorrow. For I have 100 means to make you own what does not belong to you. I even hate the peace they enjoy in that market and the fairness with which they treat their customers. I would rather you own it so you can monopolize trade and cheat the innocent." Ha 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 ha. And so laughed our infernal enemy and perpetual foe. That laughter that sends shivers down the spine of mankind and spells doom to earth rankled my pen, even as I write. The greatest destroyer of man is greed. Greed for power, wealth, authority, materialism, land, and so on has destroyed many a soul. Greed can destroy friends, it can break families apart, it can lead to murder, bribery, spying, and all forms of crime. Greed is one of the worst enemies of mankind. Greed and pride are the greatest enemies of man. By them, millions have lost their homes, marriages, jobs, lives, and their peace. Slavery, the colonization of Africa, the Americas, and parts of Asia, wars, genocides, bank collapses, etc., are mainly fueled by greed. The Democratic Republic of the Congo has never known peace because it is so rich that greedy men would rather kill all the people there and gain its wealth than leave the mineral resources and allow the people there to live in peace. Liberia and Sierra Leone went through brutal civil wars because of diamonds and the greed for power. Because of greed, the world has never known peace. The American Civil War was fought because the southern states were unwilling to stop slavery. American Indians were killed and driven from their lands because the British settlers wanted to own what the Indians had. And this is the story of the results of greed. I am taking you to Wall Street in New York, the greatest financial hub in the world alongside or after London. Here sits the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, big investment banks, and all that matter in business. Thousands flock here physically or electronically to trade stocks of companies. And here greed reared its ugly head and engineered the largest and most devastating Ponzi schemes in history. Born to Jewish parents in New York, Bernard Lawrence Madoff majored in political science in college. He left law school to start his own stocks and shares trading company, where he served as a middleman or trader between sellers and buyers of stocks. He pioneered the trading of shares via electronic means instead of over the counter, and that changed his business. This meant that people could just trade on the stock market from their homes instead of traveling to Wall Street. His stocks and shares trading business was legitimate, and he became the chairman of NASDAQ at some point. Indeed, his company was the sixth largest trader of shares and stocks on the Standard & Poor's 500 index. He was making more than $100 million annually through this legitimate business. Bernie Madoff was a successful businessman in New York. His legal business was earning him so much money, about $100 million annually. Yet he was not satisfied. He started dealing in another scheme that led him on and on until he met his sad fate. Madoff was making a lot of money legitimately, but he allowed external influences to lead him to set up a fake business that was only open to a select few. In this new underground business, Madoff promised investors returns at all times. When the stock market crashed and people lost their money, Madoff's investors were making profits in the books. He was smart enough not to give too much profits, but pegged it between 10 to 15%, which was reasonable, except that he never recorded a loss, even when everyone was losing money. He smartly turned away many investors who wanted to invest with him and only kept a few customers in this business. It was an exclusive club of the privileged. He altered the figures to make it seem the investors were making profits when indeed they were making losses. Although he was investigated, he was never caught. Bernie Madoff himself could not explain why he went deeper into his fraudulent business when he was so rich and well-to-do. Greed is a dangerous poison. It grows slowly and silently. It is hardly seen or felt until it has taken deep roots in the soul. To guard our hearts and souls against greed, we need to be content with what we have. By drawing closer to Christ, we shall be empowered to overcome greed and materialism. He was also generous and gave a lot of money to charity, which earned him the trust of many non-profits and humanitarian organizations who invested their funds with him. Owing to his fake investment returns, big investment managers and banks sent their investments to him. They were pushing their duty of being managers to him without caring how he made profits all the time. He was taking in billions of dollars. His legitimate business was extremely lucrative and could have earned him the Wall Street elite's respect solely as a market maker and electronic trading pioneer. I had more than enough money to support any of my lifestyle and my family's lifestyle. I did not need to do this for that, he said later, adding, I don't know why I did it. I just allowed myself to be talked into something, and that is my fault. I thought I could extricate myself after a period of time. I thought it would be a very short period of time, but I just couldn't. During the 2008 financial crisis, things took a nosedive, and manipulation of figures could not work out without he being caught. He called his sons, who were staff at his company, and confessed to them that his asset management unit was a scam. His two sons, who could not take it, reported him to the FBI, and he was arrested. The dominoes then began to fall, a house of cards. The funds of big banks, non-profit institutions, churches, investment managers, charities, etc., were immediately wiped off, running into billions of dollars, around $65 billion. Madoff was eventually sentenced to 150 years in prison, where he died on April 14, 2021. His brother, Peter Madoff, was sentenced to 10 years in 2012. His sons, Mark and Andrew Madoff, are now dead. Mark Madoff, one of the sons of Bernie Madoff, hanged himself in his New York apartment and killed himself in 2010, 2 years after his father's arrest, and Andrew died of lymphoma. Madoff allowed greed into his home, and it came with pride until Satan himself destroyed him. Peter Madoff, the brother of Bernie Madoff, who benefited from his fraudulent scheme, was released from federal custody after serving his prison sentence. Ruth Madoff, the wife of Bernie Madoff, is the only surviving person left in the family. Both sons are dead. The story of Madoff shows the sad ending of greed and how Satan will destroy all those who allow greed and pride into their lives. He lost his kids and destroyed his family. He ruined his reputation. The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I'm come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Friends, it is to Christ that I invite thee. In him you will have life and abundant peace. He shall plant you by rivers of water, and you shall never want. Whoever sows to the wind shall reap the whirlwind. Bernie sowed to the wind, and he did just reap a whirlwind. He destroyed his family and his legacy. He gambled away his future. On hindsight, he acknowledged his terrible mistake, but it was too late to make changes. Let us reflect on our greed for material gain and note the consequences thereof before it is too late. This is especially true for politicians and businessmen who try to amass wealth at all cost, at the disadvantage of the masses, yet die miserably, leaving everything behind.